Hello students, welcome to Roots of Economics. In this video, we are going to start with the Solow model. Students, we have already done the Harry-Dormer model. If you haven't seen those videos, you can check the playlist for the same. In the Harry-Dormer model, we have discussed about the Dormer model separately and the Harrod model separately. Now, why am I talking about the Harry-Dormer model in this video? Because the Solow model is an advancement over the Harry-Dormer model. So to start with the Solow model, you need to have some brief idea about the Harry-Dormer model. Okay, so even if you haven't seen those videos, you just need to remember one basic assumption of Harry-Dormer model, which says that production function is what? It is fixed proportion production function. That is the assumption taken in the Harry-Dormer model. And the Solow model starts with relaxing that particular assumption. Solow model says the assumption of fixed proportions in the production function is relaxed here. That means that Solow is considering continuous production function. According to Solow, labor and capital, they are now substitutable, unlike the Harry-Dormer model. There, the capital and labor were not substitutable, leading to the rigidity in the model. But the Solow model relaxes that very assumption. Now, in the Solow model, here in the yellow box, you will see I have written basically the conclusion of the Solow model. You can also follow this approach while writing the answers in the exam. It is very essential to know the conclusion of every model very clearly, and you can use that conclusion as a part of your introduction. That is going to give very good impression to the examiner. So the Solow model, what does it say? Solow model ensures steady growth. So Solow is focusing on steady growth in the long run without any pitfalls. Solow model says that in the long run, what is going to happen? Once the economies reach the steady state, then output, capital and labor, three things, output, capital and labor, they are going to grow at the same rate. So this equality you can see, change in K upon K, which is the growth rate of capital, equals to change in L upon L, growth rate of labor, equals to change in Y upon Y, which is growth rate of output, which further equals your exogenously given rate of technological progress. So your conclusion itself is giving you one more assumption taken by the Solow model. What is that assumption? That technological progress is taken neutral by the Solow model. That is why it says it is exogenously given. So the Solow model simply says what? That in the long run, steady growth will be achieved without any pitfalls. And in the long run, what is going to happen? Capital, labor and output, they all will grow at the same rate, which will further equal the growth rate of technological progress, which is exogenously given to you. Clear? Now quickly we will look at the assumptions. Students, see, these are my handwritten notes, and if you want to get comfortable with these notes, it is very essential that after watching this video, you prepare your own notes with the help of this video. So these are the assumptions briefly I have given. Solow considers one composite commodity, only one commodity. Then it follows constant returns to scale. Two factors of production, which is your capital and labor. Otherwise, how many factors of production are there generally? It is, you can remember with this trick, cell. Capital, entrepreneur, land and labor are the basic four factors of production in any economy. So Solow is considering just two factors of production, which is your capital and your labor. Then Solow also considers perpetual full employment. Then Solow considers flexible prices and wages. Labor and capital are substitutable. Here also we have done this. The meaning called production function is what? Continuous. That is why capital and labor are what? Substitutable. Then neutral technical progress. Just now I explained the meaning. Then constant saving ratio. Remember about the Harry-Dormer model? There they were taking APS, MPS. Here Solow is considering what kind of saving ratio? A constant saving ratio. So this is the introduction. Now let's move further with the Solow model. In the Solow model, you will see that Solo analysis is conversion to equilibrium path to start with any K by L. Now, Solo emphasizes that you start with any ratio, any K by L ratio. What is going to happen? In the long run, you will be able to achieve steady state, and which will be what? Equilibrium growth path. So you can start with any K by L, and automatically what will happen? Adjustment mechanism will help you in achieving what? The steady state in the long run. Solo is considering the production function as continuous, and that kind of production function is known as what? Neoclassical production function. So since Solo is considering one composite commodity, so Solo considers Y. Y is equal to FKL. That means output is a function of capital and labor. Now you know that investment is equal to saving. So here K dot, capital K dot, which is what? Which is your change in K upon change in T, means change in the capital with change in time. With time, what is your capital formation? So this K dot is basically representing your net investment. Then it is equal to SY. What is SY? It is your saving. Since you have taken the assumption of constant saving ratio, so look here, S is equal to, small s rather, is equal to S upon Y. What is this small s? APS is equal to S upon Y. So can you find out the value of capital S? Yes, you will take Y to this side. So it will become what? Small s into Y. That is what you have written here. And Y you know is what? Y is equal to FKL. So you are going to replace Y with FKL. So the equality becomes K dot equals to S FKL. Clear? Now, what about the L? L means the labor. So we have to talk about the population here. So Solo is considering that population is growing exogenously. Clear? Like the technological progress. Similarly, population is also what? Exogenously given, and it is growing. At what rate? So labor force increases at a constant rate, what? N. So given this situation, you can replace L with this, which indicates your compound rate of growth of labor force from period 0 to period T. Is it clear? Now, what is the possible growth pattern given your investment and saving? Now, focus on the symbol small k dot. Okay, capital K dot was change in K upon change in T. But small k dot is what? Change in K upon L. That means the capital labor ratio. That is what the Solo starts with, that you pick up any capital labor ratio and automatically in the long run steady state will be achieved. So this is that capital labor. Okay, and when we take the growth rate of it, we put what? The change symbol. So this is represented in short by what? Small k dot. It is equal to SFK comma 1. What is happening here? The output function was FKL. So in a way you are dividing the entire equation by the alphabet capital L. Okay. So when you do that, what is going to happen? K upon L will become small k, and L upon L will be replaced by 1. This is what we have done here. F small k comma 1 minus NK. What is your NK? NK represents relative rate of change of labor. And what is this fraction is representing? This is representing your increment of capital. So increment of capital minus the increment of labor is going to give you what? The change in your capital labor ratio. Okay, so in detail also you can see here what is SFK1. It is output per worker as a function of capital per worker. Output per worker as a function of capital per worker. Capital per worker means what? K upon L, which we are writing as small k. Then NK is what? Increment of labor. Now you will see the graph here. This is your NK exponentially growing at a constant rate. Then you have your SFK like this. Wherever they are intersecting, it is going to give you what? A K. What is K? I hope you remember K is your capital labor ratio. Okay, so look here, at E, your NR is equal to SFK1. That means these two curves are intersecting at point E. This is the point that they are referring to. So at this particular point, on the y-axis, you are measuring the growth rate of capital labor. So this becomes what? Equals to 0. So K dot becomes equal to 0 where? Where the two curves are what? Intersecting and giving you what? K dash. So this K is equal to K dash, which is what? Your balance growth equilibrium. This will be achieved in the long run only. Clear? So this K dash is what? A stable one. Clear? So you can see here, K dot means K by L is what? Constant. The assumption that we have taken that you can start with any K by L, and capital stock must expand at the same rate as the labor force. This equality indicates what? That your capital stock, which is represented by this one, should be equal to your labor force rate of growth. That is, N and output per head of labor will be what? Constant. Clear? So this is the explanation for this particular diagram. But you must be wondering that it is very likely that you will end up somewhere before E or after E. So definitely yes. So these are the two cases, that if K is not equal to K dash, if K is not equal to this K dash where your curves are intersecting, then what is going to happen? So there are two possible scenarios here. Either your K will be more than K dash when you are somewhere to the right of E. There what would be happening? Your NK would be more than SFK. Clear? Let me show you the diagram. This was the diagram. Clear? So this was your K dash. So if you are here, so what is happening? This was your NK. So NK becomes more than SFK1. Clear? So this particular variable we are considering here, K being more than K dash, NK will be more than SFK1. What is going to happen? Your labor is growing faster as compared to your what? K dash. So look here again. What is your small k? It is your capital K upon L. So if your L is growing at a faster pace, your denominator is rising, the fraction in total will what? Fall. So look here, what I have written? Small k will what? Fall. Capital and output will grow at a slower pace than the labor because NK is more. So labor is growing at a faster rate as compared to your K dash. So what is going to happen? K will start falling till it reaches the equilibrium. Where is the equilibrium? Where the curves are intersecting. Similarly, NK is less, K if is less than K dash means NK is less than SFK1. That means your capital and output is now growing at a faster pace than labor. Then what is happening? This is again K is equal to K by L. Now what is happening? Your labor is growing at a slower pace. So fraction itself will rise. So K will start rising and it will continue to rise till it reaches the E level, which is your K dash level. Clear? This is K dash. So what is the difference between Harrod-Domer and Solow so far? Here stability is maintained. There, if you remember, if you deviate from the stable situation, it was known as the knife edge equilibrium. Clear? So stability was not tolerated under Harrod-Domer model, but here in the Solow model, if you deviate from the stable point, you can come back to that point. Clear? But there is one limitation you can say. But the strong stability shown above is not inevitable. There are certain cases which is going to give competition to the conclusion here. Why? Because the shape of productivity curve matters. Let's say this is the curve. Now you can see that the curve is intersecting, this SFK1 curve is intersecting NK curve at 3 points. Here, here and here. All the 3 points are intersection points, so we can call them what? All are what? Equilibrium points. But are they stable? So only K1 and K3 are stable, but K2 is unstable. Why K2 is unstable? Because after K2, you can see SFK curve is more than NK curve, making it what? Unstable. Also, it might happen that there is no intersection. If the curve is like this, then also your stability condition is not fulfilled here.